Hello everyone and welcome to this week's game development log video diary, and this week I've been working on the sky. So first up, and most obviously this week, I added some nice blue sky into the world, and originally I did this using a skybox, but then I realised that seeing as I was only using a simple gradient effect for the sky, I didn't really need the whole box. So now what you're seeing is just a single quad which rotates around with the camera so that you're always looking at it. Sticking with the sky theme, I also wanted to add in a sun, so this week I worked on a couple of new sunny graphical effects. Firstly, I added in a lens flare effect for when the camera looks towards the sun, and this was actually a really simple effect to implement. To do this, all I had to do was to calculate the 2D position of the sun on the screen, and then along the imaginary line that goes through that point and the centre of the screen, I placed some textured quads with flare images on them, with the ones nearer the centre of the screen generally being smaller. The brightness of these images then depends on how close the sun is to the centre of the screen, so you can see here that when I move the camera, the lens flare effect is more intense when the camera is looking directly at the sun. The next effect that I worked on this week was this effect here, which makes it look like shafts of light are shining through the gaps between the objects whenever the sun is behind them. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to keep this effect in the game because it's not the best performance-wise and there are still a few issues with it, so perhaps I'll just leave it as an option that you can turn on in the settings, but it was still an effect that I wanted to try out and learn about. To carry out this effect, I first had to render the scene to an off-screen image, where the whole scene is rendered in black except for the sun. With this image, I then carried out a radial blur, and instead of being like a Gaussian blur where all the pixels get blurred in every direction, a radial blur just blurs everything in one direction, and that direction is away from a certain point on the image, and in this case, that point is the position of the sun. After the radial blur, the image looks something like this, and this can then be added back to the original image of the scene, which creates this lovely sun shaft effect. Elsewhere in the game this week, I changed the effect around the edge of the world because the old one wasn't working too well with the skybox, so now the world kind of disintegrates into nothingness around the edges. Finally, there were just a couple of other small updates that I made this week, so the notifications now notify you when a task is completed and ready to have the reward collected, and you also now get a notification every time a new species has been unlocked through the selective breeding process or otherwise. So that is going to be it for this week. Next week I'm going to begin adding all the content into the game, which will include all the different species and their various behaviours, all the different tasks, the bonuses and all the shop items, and that's probably going to take me about a month or so, and then after that the game will just need some polishing and optimising, and then it should be pretty much ready for release. For this week though, that is it. Thank you guys very much for watching this video. Do subscribe if you haven't already. Have an amazing week, and I will see you all next time.